Welcome back. We have a special guest tonight, Todd Gerelds, the author of the book Woodlawn. I'm sure you've probably heard about it in the movie. Todd, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, a lot of people don't know this. You actually grew up your first few years here in Trussville.
Yes, I did. Actually, after Dad left coaching, he got out of coaching for 7 years, and so in third grade I moved to Trussville, and I went to school here up until he got back into coaching, which was the end of my 10th grade year.
Gotcha. So tell us a little bit about the book and how it came about.
Sure. It's you know, when you're a kid, you're seeing everything for the first time, so you don't really realize the profundity of things at the time. So it wasn't like as a child I said, man, what an amazing story, I'm going to write a book. I didn't do that as a 7-year-old. But the older I got, the more I realized how profound this story was, particularly as I got exposed to more and more things that really showed me how amazing what God did at Woodlawn was. And so before my dad died, he was diagnosed with cancer about 13 years ago, and before he died I began interviewing him and writing notes just about, and I even recorded conversations thinking this is a story that should be told at some point. And really nothing really happened with that other than I started writing a few things here and there. About 9 years ago, the Irwin brothers called me, and they had heard the same story from their father growing up, who was the chaplain on my dad's team, Hank Irwin. And they called me and said, we have an idea about something, you know, for a film we think would be good. And we just talked, and that was pretty much where we left it. Then about 4 years ago, they called me and said, we want to revisit this. We really want to do this. And so they had me come in and filmed me on camera for 2 hours. They asked me questions, and I told the story. And I really, at the time, just thought how cool this was, you know, to get to do this and the possibilities with it. At the end of the conversation, they said, here's a contract. These are the book rights to the movie we're going to do, and we'd like to base it on your book. And I was like, well, that's great, except I haven't written the book yet. And they were basically like, well, get on it.
So you had some incentive to write your book.
Yeah, at that point, even it was something that I wanted to do, and at that point, I suddenly had a timeline, which I think is oftentimes necessary for any of us to get something done. And so I started writing it.
So the book and the movie, how are they similar? How are they different?
That's a great question. It comes up a little bit. They are, I would say that they're done for two different reasons. The movie has a definite mission and a story that it's telling that is true, based on, you know, the true story, but not necessarily in the particulars. When you have a movie, you're having to compress a lot. I covered probably 7 years in the book, and they only covered 1973-74 Woodlawn football seasons. And so a number of things that happened. Particularly what they did was they compressed a lot that may have happened earlier, where they placed the pivotal character, Tony Nathan, in the middle of a lot of things. So they're very similar in the overall story that they tell, where they may be off in certain things. And they may, you know, they did use artistic license to create certain characters, to illustrate things that happened that would have taken another hour in a movie that you just don't have. So, you know, there definitely are things in the movie that didn't occur, or maybe a bit hyperbolic, you know, in terms of how they convey certain things. But the Nathan family and the Gerelds family, you know, we all saw the script. We all seen the movie. We love what that was. The book is a straightforward account of here's what really happened, kind of in the chronology that it occurred. And so they serve different purposes. So for somebody who wants the background and some of those things, you know, because there have been some Woodlawn people, that didn't happen. Well, we know, but things like that occurred in the years preceding all this, and so, you know, you take that how it goes.
So are you surprised at the success of the movie, and did you expect that?
Really, I've not been surprised, not so much because really just because it's such an amazing story. I actually told Nick Bishop and Kevin Sizemore, who are two of the actors. Nick plays my dad, and Kevin Sizemore plays Jerry Stearns. We went out after the Birmingham premiere, and I told them, I said, I'd actually be really, really surprised if, you know, if this gets good reviews, I won't be surprised. But I won't be surprised if it doesn't, but it won't be because of the quality of the movie. It will be because it is so contrary to the worldviews of those giving the criticisms. I said, but anybody who watches this movie it's undeniable. It's an amazing story. It's a great story. The acting and the cinematography is unparalleled. It's outstanding. And so if they don't give it good reviews, it will only be because it flies in the face of their worldview. And so I'm not surprised, because it's a very compelling story.
And your wife is a writer too, I hear.
Yes, she is. She's written a number of devotional products. She does a lot. We have 4 daughters. She writes a lot geared toward young women and girls. Has done the Princess Bible series and something called Brave Girls, and a number of other devotional products over the years.
Fantastic. Well, it's a great book, and it's one of those things where I think it's one of those things that's really needed today. You know, we need to look back and see how we can come together.
Amen.
And it's just, you know, one of those things where, you know, you look at some of the stories out there today and race relations, and we need to realize that, you know what, we can come together. So the book's called Woodlawn. The movie's called Woodlawn. Todd, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes.